Behind every sitcom family's loving hugs and perfectly resolved 22-minute problems, there's a cast of real people. When the show ends, they're left to figure out who they are without a script. Some make a graceful exit, but others stumble, fall, or just plain disappear into obscurity. The heartbreaking story of the twins from Everybody Loves Raymond will change how you see the show forever. 1. Jonathan Taylor Thomas. If you were alive in the 90s, you knew the name Jonathan Taylor Thomas, as he was famously called. As Randy Taylor on the mega-hit sitcom Home Improvement, he wasn't just a child actor. He was a phenomenon. He was the smart, wisecracking middle son of Tim Allen's character, and his posters were plastered on the bedroom walls of millions of teenagers. He was the voice of young Simba in The Lion King. He starred in his own movies. For a while, Jonathan Taylor Thomas was arguably the biggest teen heartthrob in the world, a future superstar in the making. Then, in 1998, at the peak of his fame, he did the unthinkable. He walked away. He left Home Improvement before its final season to focus on his education. It was a move that baffled Hollywood and disappointed legions of fans. Truth be told, he didn't just sort of step back. He performed a full-on vanishing act. He enrolled at Harvard University to study history and philosophy, and later attended Columbia. He wanted a normal life, a chance to experience the world outside of a soundstage. In the years since, he's popped up only a handful of times, taking on a few small guest roles, often on his former TV dad Tim Allen's show Last Man Standing, and has done some directing. He doesn't have social media. He doesn't do interviews. He simply chose to leave the fame machine behind, trading a life of red carpets for a life of quiet anonymity. His choice to prioritize education and privacy over superstardom remains one of the most fascinating disappearing acts in modern celebrity history. But as quiet as his exit was, it was nothing compared to the baffling and public transformation of our next star, who went from a preppy high school fashion icon to someone her former castmates could barely recognize. 2. Lark Voorhees. Every kid who watched television on Saturday mornings in the early 90s knew Lisa Turtle. As the rich, fashion-obsessed gossip queen of Bayside High on Saved by the Bell, Lark Voorhees was an essential part of a pop culture phenomenon. She was stylish, funny, and a core member of one of the most iconic TV friend groups of all time. After the show and its various spin-offs ended, she continued to act, appearing in soap operas and music videos, but she never again reached the level of fame she had as Lisa. Then, slowly, she started to fade from the public eye. In the 2010s, things got strange. When pictures of her surfaced, she looked dramatically different, sparking all sorts of wild speculation. Her public appearances became rare and often very puzzling. She would give interviews where her speech was rambling and disjointed, causing concern among fans and her former co-stars. Her mother later explained that Lark was dealing with personal mental health challenges, something Lark herself sometimes acknowledged and other times denied. It was a confusing and sad situation for those who remembered her as the vibrant, confident Lisa Turtle. She was noticeably absent from many of the Saved by the Bell reunions over the years. Though she did make a brief, touching appearance in the recent reboot series, her story is a complicated one. It's a reminder that the pressures of childhood fame can have lasting effects, and her journey has been a long and difficult one, taking her far away from the sunny halls of Bayside High. Her story is a complex tale of struggling in the glare of the spotlight. But for our next star, being pushed out of the spotlight wasn't a slow fade. It was an abrupt and confusing disappearance that left fans scratching their heads for years. 3. Jamie Foxworth. For 9 seasons, Family Matters was a cornerstone of ABC's TGIF lineup. Audiences loved the Winslow family, and for the first 4 seasons, that family included a youngest daughter, Judy. Played by the adorable Jamie Foxworth, Judy was a sweet background character, often there to deliver a cute line or react to her nerdy older brother, Steve Urkel. She was part of the classic family portrait. And then one day, she just wasn't. In the season 4 episode Mama's Wedding, Judy goes up the stairs to her room and is never seen or mentioned again for the rest of the show's run. It's one of the most bizarre and infamous vanishing acts in sitcom history. She wasn't written out, there was no farewell episode, she was simply erased as if she never existed. The crazy part is that behind the scenes, the decision was apparently a simple one. As the character of Steve Urkel grew more popular, he took up more screen time and budget, and the producers reportedly felt Judy's character was disposable. For a young Jamie Foxworth, being suddenly dropped from a hit show was devastating. Her life after Family Matters was filled with struggle. She formed a music group with her sisters, but it never took off. As she got older, facing financial difficulties, she made a significant career change and began working in the world of adult entertainment under a different name. It was a path that took her a universe away from wholesome family television. In recent years, she has spoken openly about her challenges and appeared on reality shows to discuss her journey. But for a generation of TV fans, she remains the girl who walked up the stairs and never came back down. Being erased from a show is one thing, but our next star became famous after he was photographed years later, revealing a life far removed from the glitz and glamour of his #1 rated sitcom. 4. Jeffrey Owens. For 8 seasons on The Cosby Show, Jeffrey Owens was known to millions as Elvin Thibodeau. He was the well-meaning, slightly traditional, and often hilariously lectured son-in-law of Cliff and Claire Huxtable. He started as Sandra Huxtable's boyfriend and eventually became her husband, a staple character on what was the biggest show on television. His face was incredibly familiar. After the show wrapped, like many actors, he continued to work, teaching acting and taking roles in theater and television where he could find them. He was a working actor, but he was no longer a household name. Fast forward to 2018. A photo went viral online. It showed Jeffrey Owens working as a cashier at a Trader Joe's grocery store in New Jersey. Some people posted it to mock him, a clear attempt at job-shaming a former TV star. But then something amazing happened. The public and the entertainment industry rallied around him in a massive wave of support. Actors, directors, and fans praised him for his humility and for earning an honest living between acting gigs, a reality for the vast majority of performers. The incident turned into a national conversation about the dignity of work. The crazy part is, the so-called shaming completely revived his career. Producer Tyler Perry immediately offered him a recurring role on a television show. He received offers for numerous other acting jobs and became a symbol of working-class integrity. His vanishing act ended with a powerful comeback, all because of one photograph that was meant to bring him down, but ended up lifting him higher than he'd been in years. His story is one of dignity and surprise rediscovery. But our next star's disappearance was a much more public and chaotic spiral, a cautionary tale about the intense pressures faced by young performers in the digital age. 5. Amanda Bynes. In the late 90s and early 2000s, Amanda Bynes was the undisputed queen of kids' comedy. She was a prodigy on Nickelodeon, the breakout star of the sketch show, all that before getting her own wildly popular series, The Amanda Show. She was funny, charismatic, and had incredible comedic timing. From there, she made a seemingly perfect transition into movies, starring in hits like What a Girl Wants and She's the Man. She was on a clear path to becoming one of her generation's biggest and most beloved comedy superstars. Then things started to unravel in a very public and alarming way. Around 2010, she announced her retirement from acting via Twitter, and her behavior online became increasingly erratic and bizarre. Her social media posts were strange, confrontational, and often nonsensical, leading to widespread public concern. This was followed by a series of legal troubles and public incidents that were breathlessly covered by the media. It became clear she was in the midst of a serious personal and mental health crisis. For several years, she was in and out of treatment facilities and was placed under a legal conservatorship, similar to Britney Spears. Her promising career had completely derailed, and she vanished from Hollywood not by choice, but because of a painful public breakdown. In recent years, she has been living a much quieter life, free from her conservatorship and reportedly focusing on her well-being and pursuing an interest in fashion design. Her story is a stark and difficult reminder of how quickly a bright star can fall under the immense weight of fame. Amanda's public struggles were a sad chapter, but our next star's exit from Hollywood came from a place of spiritual conviction, as he famously denounced the very show that made him a multimillionaire. 6. Angus T. Jones. For 10 years, Angus T. Jones was the half in the blockbuster sitcom 2.5 Men. He played Jake Harper, the dim-witted but lovable kid living with his uptight dad and hedonistic uncle. Audiences watched him grow up on screen, from a cute elementary schooler into a sullen, wisecracking teenager. By the time he was a teen, he was one of the highest-paid child actors in television history, earning a reported $350,000 per episode. He was set for life, a key part of a massive TV juggernaut. And then, in 2012, a video surfaced that sent shockwaves through the industry. In a videotaped testimonial for a Christian church group, Angus, now a young adult, pleaded with people to stop watching 2.5 Men, calling the show filth that contradicted his newfound religious beliefs. "You can't make this stuff up." An actor was publicly trashing his own hit show and telling his fans to turn it off. It was a stunning moment. Not surprisingly, his role on the show was drastically reduced shortly after, and he was gone completely by the next season, save for a brief appearance in the finale. He had effectively torched his own career in the name of his faith. After leaving the show, he completely vanished from the public eye, enrolling in college at the University of Colorado at Boulder and living a normal student life. He later seemed to soften his stance on the show, but he has stayed firmly out of the acting world, a man who once had it all and decided to give it all up. Giving up fame for faith is a powerful choice, but the story of our next stars is a far more tragic one, involving two brothers who shared a role and whose lives ended in a way that left their castmates and fans heartbroken. 7. Sawyer and Sullivan Sweeten. For 9 seasons on Everybody Loves Raymond, the beloved Barone family included the adorable twin boys, Jeffrey and Michael. Playing those roles for the show's entire run were real-life twin brothers, Sawyer and Sullivan Sweeten. They were just 16 months old when the show started. Alongside their real-life older sister, Madeline Sweeten, who played their TV sister Allie, they grew up on the set. They were a constant, cute presence in the background of one of the most successful and critically acclaimed sitcoms of all time. When the show ended in 2005, they were just 10 years old. Like many child actors from that era, the Sweeten brothers largely stepped away from the spotlight after the show wrapped. They returned to a normal life in Texas with their family, away from the hustle of Hollywood. They didn't pursue acting or try to stay in the public eye. For a decade, they were just kids living their lives, completely off the radar. The story, however, took a deeply tragic and heartbreaking turn in 2015. Just weeks before his 20th birthday, Sawyer Sweeten's life came to a tragic end. His passing sent a shockwave of grief through the cast of Everybody Loves Raymond, who had watched him grow up and still considered him family. His sister Madeline and his twin brother Sullivan were left to mourn a loss that was both personal and, because of their shared TV fame, painfully public. Sullivan has remained entirely private since the tragedy, his and his brother's story serving as a devastating reminder of the unseen struggles that can follow even the most idyllic-seeming childhoods. That heartbreaking story is one of the saddest on our list. On a much lighter note, our next star didn't vanish due to tragedy or controversy. She just gracefully chose a different, more important role in life. 8. Kelly Shanagian Williams. As Laura Winslow on Family Matters, Kelly Shanagian Williams was the quintessential girl next door. For 9 seasons, she was the smart, popular, and often exasperated object of Steve Urkel's affections. Her on-again, off-again romance with Urkel became the central storyline of the show, and Kelly became a 90s icon. She was a talented actress who perfectly portrayed Laura's journey from a frustrated teen to a young woman in love. When the show ended its long run in 1998, fans expected her to become a major star. After Family Matters, she did continue to act for a while. She had a main role in the short-lived sitcom What About Joan starring Joan Cusack, and took on various guest spots in other shows. She even hosted a show for the Style Network. But her presence in Hollywood began to dwindle. Unlike many on this list, her fade from the spotlight wasn't due to scandal or a lack of opportunities. Instead, it was a conscious and happy choice. In 2009, she married and started a family. Truth be told, she simply traded Hollywood for a life as a wife and mother. She moved away from Los Angeles to the Washington, D.C. area and focused on raising her 2 children. Today, she is a dedicated mom who has created arts programs for young people in her community. She still joyfully participates in Family Matters reunions and remains close with her former castmates, but her primary focus is her family. Hers is a happy vanishing act, a story of a star who found her greatest joy far away from any television studio. Choosing family over fame is a wonderful story, but our next star, one of Jonathan Taylor Thomas. His TV brothers had a much rockier exit from the limelight, involving family drama and legal battles at a young age. 9. Taryn Noah Smith. On Home Improvement, Taryn Noah Smith played Mark Taylor, the youngest and most sensitive of Tim, the tool man, Taylor's 3 sons. He was just 7 years old when the show began, and audiences watched him grow from a cute little kid into a brooding, goth-style teenager. He was the quiet counterpoint to his 2 older, more rambunctious brothers. For 8 years, he was part of America's favorite TV family, earning a hefty paycheck and seemingly set up for a long career. But the moment the show ended in 1999, his life took a dramatic turn. At just 17 years old, he sued his own parents for control of his $1.5 million trust fund, claiming they were squandering his money. The lawsuit created a major family rift. During this time, he also controversially married a woman who was 16 years older than him when he was still a teenager. The marriage and the legal battles with his parents created a whirlwind of tabloid headlines. After all that drama, Taryn decided he was completely done with acting. He had no desire to stay in the industry that had brought him so much turmoil. He and his then-wife started a vegan cheese company for a while. He got involved in disaster relief work and other artistic pursuits. He has lived a very unconventional life, from installing art exhibits to teaching people how to pilot submarines. He's a man who experienced the strange world of child stardom and ran in the opposite direction as fast as he could. Running from the spotlight is a common theme, but our next star didn't run. She just found a different creative path, trading her famous fast-talking TV persona for the life of a country mom and author. 10. Jenna Von Oy. Played by Jenna Von Oy. Six was a comedic force of nature. She was quirky, loyal, and her rapid-fire delivery was one of the show's trademarks. For 5 seasons, she was the ultimate TV best friend, a role that made her a familiar and beloved face to millions of young fans. After Blossom ended, Jenna didn't exactly vanish at first. She went on to co-star in another successful sitcom, The Parkers, for its entire 5-season run, and did voice work for Disney. She seemed poised for a long career as a reliable character actress. But as the 2000s wore on, her acting roles became less frequent. She eventually moved from California to Nashville, Tennessee, embracing a new life in the South. The biggest change came when she became a mother. Like others on this list, she shifted her priorities to focus on her family. Instead of scripts, she started writing books. She penned 2 humorous and heartfelt books about her experiences with motherhood and became a popular blogger on the subject. She also tried her hand at a country music career for a while. While she occasionally pops up for a nostalgia-fueled interview or a small acting role, she has largely traded her Hollywood life for a quieter, more family-oriented existence, sharing her life not on screen, but on the pages of her books and blog. Her journey into writing is inspiring. But our next star's move away from acting was even more dramatic. She left Hollywood to pursue one of the most intellectually demanding professions you can imagine. 11. Crystal McKellar. On the classic coming-of-age show The Wonder Years, Fred Savage's character Kevin Arnold had 2 main love interests. There was his dream girl, Winnie Cooper, played by Danica McKellar. And then there was his longtime on-and-off girlfriend and intellectual rival, the feisty and brilliant Becky Slater. Becky was played by Danica's real-life sister, Crystal McKellar. While not as central as Winnie, Becky was a memorable and important recurring character who appeared throughout the show's run. With her real-life sister becoming a big star, many assumed Crystal would follow a similar path in Hollywood, but Crystal had very different plans. Once The Wonder Years concluded, she essentially retired from acting. While her sister Danica continued to act while also becoming a celebrated mathematician and author, Crystal focused solely on academics, and her achievements are nothing short of incredible. She graduated from Yale University and then went on to earn her law degree from Harvard Law School. That's right, Becky Slater went to Harvard Law. It's a real-life plot twist that feels more impressive than anything on the show. Today, she is a highly respected lawyer, having worked at major international law firms. She has completely and successfully transitioned from the world of television sets and scripts to the world of courtrooms and legal briefs. Hers is perhaps the most academically impressive vanishing act on this list, a story of a child actress who left one highly competitive field to conquer another. From child actor to Harvard lawyer is an amazing leap. Our next star also made a leap after his childhood fame, from being a sitcom kid to being a regular guy with a regular job. 12. Ross Bagley. In the mid-90s, Ross Bagley was one of the busiest and most recognizable child actors in Hollywood. He shot to fame playing Nicky Banks, the youngest son of the Banks family on the last 2 seasons of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. He was adorable, had great comedic chemistry with Will Smith, and was an instant fan favorite. But that wasn't all. At the same time, he landed a major role in the blockbuster movie Independence Day, playing Will Smith's stepson. He was Will Smith's go-to kid sidekick. He also had a memorable role as Buckwheat in the movie The Little Rascals. His career was on fire. Then, after his run of 90s hits, Ross Bagley's career cooled off considerably. As he grew out of the cute kid phase, the big roles stopped coming. So he did what most kids do. He focused on school. He went on to attend California State University, Northridge, where he studied cinema and television arts. He didn't chase fame or try to cling to his childhood stardom. After college, he worked various jobs, including as an intern at Will Smith's production company. Today, he reportedly works as a real estate agent in the Los Angeles area. He still does a little acting here and there in small independent projects and has a presence on social media where he sometimes shares throwback photos. But for the most part, he's a prime example of a child star who had a massive burst of success and then seamlessly transitioned into a normal, private adult life. Transitioning to a normal job is one way to disappear. Our next star vanished from in front of the camera, but he never actually left the set. 13. Michael Fishman. Michael Fishman was just 6 years old when he was cast as DJ Connor on Roseanne, one of the most groundbreaking and popular sitcoms of its era. For nearly a decade, he was the youngest member of the Connor clan, growing up in the public eye. He was a central part of a show that tackled real-life issues with humor and honesty. When Roseanne ended in 1997, Fishman was a teenager who had spent most of his life on a TV set. Unlike many of his peers, he didn't immediately try to jump to another sitcom or a movie career. While he took a few small acting roles, he quickly realized his true passion wasn't for being in front of the camera, but for working behind it. He quietly vanished as an actor, but reappeared in the industry in a variety of other roles. He worked in production, camera operation, and set building. Most notably, he developed a deep passion for directing. This behind-the-scenes focus became his career. When Roseanne was revived as The Connors in 2018, he returned to his role as DJ. But the really cool part of his comeback story is that he also got to step behind the camera and direct several episodes of the show he grew up on. It was a full-circle moment. While his character was eventually written off The Connors, his story is a unique kind of vanishing act. He disappeared as a famous face only to re-emerge as a creative force, shaping the shows from the other side. Moving behind the camera is a clever way to stay in the business. Our next star tried to shed her wholesome image with a daring move, only to find that it led her further away from the spotlight she once owned. 14. Mackenzie Rosman. For 11 seasons, Mackenzie Rosman played the adorable Ruthie Camden on the family drama Seventh Heaven. She was the youngest daughter of the Camden clan, and audiences watched her grow from a 5-year-old girl into a young woman. The show was the epitome of wholesome, family-friendly television. And Mackenzie's image was tied to that squeaky clean persona. For over a decade, she was a fixture in millions of homes, part of television's most famous minister's family. As soon as the show ended, like many young actresses from wholesome shows, Mackenzie seemed eager to break away from her good girl image. In 2013, when she was 23, she posed for a revealing photo shoot in a men's magazine. The move was a deliberate attempt to show the world she was all grown up and to shed the Ruthie Camden persona for good. It definitely got people talking, but it didn't exactly lead to a flood of new, more adult acting roles. After the buzz from the photo shoot died down, her acting career stalled. She appeared in a few low-budget horror movies and TV shows, but nothing that brought her back to the mainstream. She eventually seemed to step away from the pursuit of acting altogether. Today, she lives a relatively private life focused on her passion for animals, particularly horses. She is an accomplished equestrian and is active in fundraising for charitable causes. Her attempt to rebrand herself led not to a new career chapter, but to a quiet and graceful exit from the industry. Her story is one of trying to redefine a public image. But the final star on our list didn't vanish because of a rebrand or a choice for privacy. She disappeared after a spectacular crash, brought on by personal demons that destroyed one of the biggest sitcom careers of the 90s. 15. Brett Butler. In the mid-90s, Brett Butler was on top of the world. Her sitcom, Grace Under Fire, was a massive hit, consistently ranking in the top 10. Butler, a stand-up comedian with a sharp Southern wit, played Grace Kelly, a recovering alcoholic and single mother trying to raise her kids after leaving an abusive marriage. The show was praised for its honest portrayal of working-class struggles, and Brett Butler became a huge star, earning Golden Globe nominations and a multi-million-dollar salary. But behind the scenes, her life was mirroring the dark themes of her show. Butler had a long-standing battle with addiction, and as her fame grew, her problems spiraled out of control. Her behavior on set became erratic and difficult, leading to constant production delays and conflicts with the cast and crew. She was in and out of rehab, but the struggles continued. The situation grew so difficult that the show's teenage star, John Paul Stewart, actually quit because of it. By the 5th season, the network had had enough. ABC abruptly canceled its hit show in 1998, unable to deal with its star's overwhelming personal issues. After the cancellation, Brett Butler's career imploded. The massive fortune she earned was gone. She left Hollywood and moved to a farm in Georgia, where she lived for years in relative poverty and obscurity, battling her demons far from the spotlight. In recent years, she has gotten sober and cautiously returned to acting, taking on small character roles. Her story is one of the most dramatic and cautionary tales in sitcom history, a powerful reminder that the brightest stars can sometimes face the darkest nights, and the journey back is often the hardest role of all.